Here in Photoshop, the first thing that we want to do is make our A3 page, and we need to make sure that it's CMYK and that it's 300 pixels per inch. So if we go into Photoshop, we need to go File and New. And what's good about Photoshop, this version of Photoshop, there are some options preset, so you don't really need to remember the sizes. So in print, if you can see, can you guys make that out? Let me just switch the lights off, hold on. You can make that out, but there's an option there for A3. Oh, it looks kind of fuzzy on the overhead. But have a look around your different options and you'll see A3 will be there. It's 297 by 420. Now, if you look over here, you've got orientation. It needs to be landscape, okay, because we're turning it that way and putting 2 pages in. So technically it's 420 by 297. By default, because we're in the print section, it should automatically default to 300 pixels per inch, but just check that it is 300. Now, it might have this color mode as RGB. We want to change that down here to CMYK. And everything else is okay. The background, a plain white page, that's going to work. And we click Create. Okay, the next thing you want to do is find your 2 scans that you just made. Now, you need to scan on that machine, and you need to put your 2... It'll scan them as JPEGs. You need to put them into either Google Drive or email them to yourself and then get them onto whatever machine you're working on. So here are mine, image 7 and image 6. I'm just going to select the 2 of them. And the easiest thing to do is if I drag them down here and just put them over that Photoshop icon, it'll open them up there. Okay, so the first page I want is this page here. If I go up to Select All, or the quick way is if you hit the Command button and A, go Edit, Copy, or Command C, and come into your blank page here. And if you hit Command V or Edit, Paste, there's my page there. Now there's a little kind of funny bit at the edge there, but see the way it's scanned in, kind of part of the side that isn't really part of the design. So I'm just going to bring it over like that. Now you might want to scale it up a little bit. See the way, now not too much. See the way it doesn't quite fit down the bottom there. But we leave it like that for now. I'm going to go to image 6 and do the same thing. So select all, edit, copy, come back to my blank page, edit, paste. Now this particular design has sort of a border around it, like a blank kind of border. So because it doesn't go edge to edge, you wouldn't really notice. You know, with this one you can kind of see there's a bit of a gap. So I'm going to click back onto this one and I'm just going to scale it up. If I hit Command and T, these little kind of corner scale things pop up. And remember, when you're scaling something, you always hold down Shift or else it'll kind of warp all over the place, and just scale it up like that. And I'm just going to hit Enter. So that looks a little bit better. The scanner is quite good. It should, like it, unless you have your comic book done on a really thick notebook and some light gets in under the scanner, if it's just on a blank page, it should scan fairly black and white the way these are. So I think that's turned out quite well. I'm going to name these. See over here in this layer palette, they're just called layer 1 and layer 2. And I can switch them on and off with these little eyes here. So layer 1, I'm going to click on it and call it left page. Try get used to naming your layers. And layer 2 is my right page. Okay, so now I've got everything set up everything in the right place. Now I showed you this the last week, but that we did a little overhead tutorial, but I'm just going to try it again. I'm going to put a new layer in. So there's a little option down here. See this? It looks like a little page. And if I click on that, I get a new layer. And I'm going to call that Colors. Okay. All my colors are going to go onto that. Okay. So on my right page here, up in these options, I'm going to pick Multiply. And same with these. I think it's Multiply. We'll soon find out. If I go over to my brush, and I'm going to pick a color. What? Okay, are these kind of flames in the background here? Are these? Is it kind of flames? See this? Who did this hidden? Bush. It's a bush, is it? Okay. Is that what it? This is like a. Okay, I thought they were flames. Okay, let's go with a green color. Maybe a lighter green. Oops. Okay, so because I picked, see right page and left page, because I picked this option here, Multiply, what it does on those pages is anywhere that I have white, if you imagine that now becomes transparent. So on this layer here where it says colors, if I color in on that layer, so I'll go in here, let me color here. So say this kind of creature here, this guy made out of leaves. Now I didn't do a very good job on that, I just did it very quickly, but if I zoom in on it there, you can see it keeps the black as black and it turns the white into transparent. So you can basically color in, I mean, this is essentially like when you were a kid doing a colouring book. Now I will, after midterm, like the main thing for you guys to do would be to get the main colours done. You know, all the background colours, the colours of, you know, like all the characters and the backgrounds and everything. When we get back after midterm, I'm going to do a tutorial on making your own brushes. And what we're going to do is we're going to make our own brushes, import them into Photoshop, and you can add highlights and shading and textures and different patterns with your own personal brushes. But there's not much point in doing that at the moment until you get this stage done. Now this stage takes a little bit of a while, and you might come up with a kind of a colour palette. You might pick, you know, don't go crazy picking 50 million colours. Maybe have pick 3, 4, 5 different colours and use them to fill in your design, okay? So we'll save this. That's probably the most important thing. File, save as. Now in here, in the classroom, if you click on this little kind of arrow icon up here, and what you want to find is, oh, it's kind of different here. Is it in here? Hold on a minute. Okay, this computer is slightly different. And most of your computers is a student folder, okay? And I know you're all used to saving stuff in there. Make sure it's definitely saved in the student folder, okay? If you save it on the desktop or anywhere else, they get wiped at the end of the day. For some reason, this doesn't have the same options as you guys have, which is kind of weird. Okay, well, let's save it in here in Documents. We'll call it Test Comic. Save it as, see this option here, .psd, and down here it says Format Photoshop. By default, it should be that anyway. You shouldn't have to pick something different. And turn on this where it says Layers and click Save. And basically that's it. Let me go down here.